Welcome to this quick analytical presentation. Today we will dive into a very deep intellectual and ideological proposition filled with details. We will dismantle a historical crisis that affected the original message of Islam and see how we can restore this pure core based on the vision of the researcher, Mr. Ali Muhammad al-Shurafa al-Hamadi, founder of the Global Message of Peace Foundation. Let us begin immediately. As I have just mentioned, and before we dive into the depths, this entire presentation is based on a critical reading presented by Mr. Ali Muhammad al-Shurafa al-Hamadi, founder of the Global Message of Peace Foundation. The researcher presents a bold vision calling for returning the religion to its first roots, and we are here to review this proposition with complete neutrality to understand its dimensions and pillars. We will go through 5 main stations in this presentation. We will start with the lost essence of religion, and then move to the mission of the messenger as a mercy to the worlds, then the story of the mixed legacy and fabrication, reaching the solution which is the return to the Holy Quran, and we conclude with how to liberate Islam and achieve the renaissance of the nation. Let us move immediately to the first station, which is the lost essence of religion. That is, if we look at the historical reality, Mr. al-Shurafa sees that there are very many entities and movements that contributed to this crisis. Imagine with me, from Sufism to Salafism, Kharijites and Shi'ism, and even security repressive states and the Ottoman heritage, according to the source, all of these warring factions generated bitter conflicts that tore apart the unity of the religion and lost its core essence. And here lies the strange paradox. If we make a quick comparison, we will find that the original message was built entirely on mercy, justice, freedom, and peace. But the distorted reality replaced all of these great values with destructive things like excommunication, slaughter, and violence. The fundamental point here is how a noble, humanistic message was transformed into a tool used to justify bloody conflicts. And this violent contradiction leads us directly to our second axis: the messenger as a mercy to the worlds. To understand the picture correctly, the proposition always refers us back to the Holy Quran as a final and decisive reference, specifically this great verse, "And we have not sent you except as a mercy to the worlds." The researcher stresses that this is not just a passing description. This is the precise and sole divine definition of the mission of the final prophet, a mission built exclusively on mercy for all of humanity, without any exception. And look at how the identity has been manipulated over time. The true identity, as described by the Quran, is that of a messenger of mercy who came to enlighten the paths of humanity. But in contrast, the fabricated identity promoted by some historical accounts depicted him as a political warrior and a sectarian leader. According to the author, this great identity was hijacked and its features completely distorted to serve agendas that have nothing to do with the message of peace. Well, how did this dangerous distortion happen? This is our third axis, the mixed heritage and fabrication. The source explains this process in 3 sequential steps. First, the emergence of people he called merchants of religion, who began fabricating suspicious narratives and sayings. Second, these falsehoods were clothed in holiness by falsely attributing them to the noble messenger. And third, and this is the real disaster according to the author, this fabricated heritage was elevated to the point where it became a primary legislation that sometimes overrides the Quran itself. Can you imagine the scale of the problem? To confront this deviation, the researcher cites a very clear and strict verse from Surah Al-Araf. "Follow what has been sent down to you from your Lord, and do not follow protectors besides him." The idea here is very simple and deep at the same time. Raising human religious rulings and doubtful heritages to a level that equals or competes with the words of God is a flagrant departure and a dangerous deviation from the divine command to follow only what was revealed. So, what is the solution to all of this? The fourth axis presents it very clearly: the return to the Holy Quran. In this presentation, the Quran is not just a historical text we read. Rather, it is a living, preserved book of truth. And more importantly, it does not require any mediator between humans and their creator. The author considers that a strict return to the Quran is not an intellectual luxury or just an opinion open for debate, but is an existential necessity and inevitability to save the religion and restore it to its first purity and clarity. To emphasize the idea of the independence and perfection of the Quran, this verse from Surah Al-Nahl is presented. And we have sent down to you the book as an explanation for everything. This summarizes the researcher's entire argument. The Quran is the first and final reference, and it is sufficient and clear for everything. This means that absolute reliance on external inherited texts has no logical or religious justification. This paves the way for our fifth and final station, liberating Islam and the renaissance of the nation. The idea here is like a domino effect, a very logical and interconnected sequence. We begin by liberating Islam from those who distorted and altered it. Once we achieve this, we can exonerate the Prophet from all the lies attributed to him. This intellectual purification will inevitably ignite the spark of a great conscious and intellectual renaissance. In the end, we reach the ultimate goal, restoring the natural and pure human disposition. Simply put, we can think of this as an integrated roadmap for a civilizational rescue process. In conclusion, this analytical presentation leaves us with a very deep question. Is stripping religion of long centuries of traditions and heritages and returning strictly to the Holy Quran alone capable of launching a global spiritual and intellectual renaissance? Truly, this question opens many doors for reflection, pushing us to reconsider our historical axioms and continue searching for the truth.